he talks about how he was over, I don't know how many Satanist, called churches. He was like the bishop.
What was it hard? You don't know what sins she committed. You don't know how much believers there. You don't know whether she hated her husband.
I don't think so.
Why would anybody spend so much time ranting and raving about something that they don't believe in?
Really?
You're listening to Skeptics Brew Pub with Brother Brewer. And welcome to episode 21, I believe, of Skeptics Brew Pub. I'm Brother Brewer, and joining me tonight is a Facebook friend of mine from all the way up in the Great White North of Michigan, Myrisa Spenser. How you doing tonight, Myrisa?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, so far so good. It's been kind of a long day. I spent, the kids had the day off from school today, so we ran around town, went to a nice little science museum up here, and had a pretty good time.
That's cool.
Now, the reason that I had asked you on was because you're doing something that to me was a little bit different. I had never heard of it before, and that's secular homeschooling. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? But first, maybe you tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 5 children. They're 8 years old and below, and I'm married. My husband, his name is Sean. He's a plumber, so that's what we do. And we're atheists, and we're not apologetic about that. We raise our kids as atheists. It's up to them if they want to do something else later on, but that's how we raise them. They have the freedom. And we homeschool because we have a lot of reasons why we have to do that. That's my background.
Okay. Well, what actually... Oh, I was going to ask your how many kids you had and their ages, but I think you've pretty well done that.
Yeah.
What kind of things? That's okay. What kind of things are they into?
They like science. My eldest goes to Pokemon tournaments every Sunday. Yeah, she likes that. They say that homeschooling kids don't really have a lot of socialization, but that's not true. They have friends. They have people to hang out with. They're pretty well-rounded, so yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're into. They're into friends.
Okay, well, so what got you into, or what made you decide to go ahead and homeschool your kids as opposed to send them to, like public school?
Well, a big thing was a lot of the violence in school, that some schools already have metal detectors and stuff, so that's not a good thing for us. We're scared of that happening. And, what else? We also don't like bullying. It's a big issue because I was bullied when I was in school, like all the way to high school till I graduated. It sucked so much, and I don't really want my kids to go through that because kids are cruel.
Yeah, they can.
They can be cruel. They can be cruel. So I don't want to spoil their upbringing with that. It really wasn't good for me and my husband when he was in school, so we decided to do that. Another reason is we don't really like the public school system. We really don't like it, and we want to be able to make sure that they have one-on-one attention, because that way I can see that they're really learning.
Okay.
Whereas, I want to be involved. I want to see how it goes.
Okay.
That's basically, yeah.
All right. Well, how did you find out about homeschooling? Because I know that there's a lot of you think when you think homeschooling, you think of houses like the Duggars, or you think more along the lines of especially the fundamentalist Christians not wanting to get their kids out into the world because it's so evil. So how did you find out about homeschooling, especially with the more secular bend to it?
Well, we've been atheists a long time. So before we even had kids, we decided that we wanted to raise our kids as atheists. And we just didn't like the way that public school handled the kids. Like, they don't really protect them. There's a lot of violence. There's bullying. I don't like how they teach. It's a little too slow for me, and they don't have enough of what I want my kids to know. Like what we do is like we go out and go to museums. So it's all hands-on kind of deal.
Okay.
But they're having fun. But we decided to go ahead and do online homeschooling at first with K-12, that was back in Colorado, but I moved to Michigan in March, and it was way different over here. They're not all the same in all the states, and not all states have it for free. It just so happened it was free here. But in one day, we pulled them out because it just was not that great. It really wasn't. So we're doing something called Time for Learning online, but we pay for it. It's not free.
Okay. So, well, you were talking about you were doing online a K-12. What kind of resources are you or what kind of resources are there out there for people that maybe want to try to do some homeschooling?
Oh, well, K-12 is really easy. They actually send you the computers. They actually send you all that you need for lab work and all the books. It's really all there. It's free, usually free. If your state actually offers it, look to see if it's free, because sometimes it's not. But it doesn't cost that much, though. But it's not all the same in every state. And you really have to go to their website, just k12.com, and look for your state and see. It's like how many kinds of schools. It's a school system, basically. There are campuses around the state that allow that online homeschooling, but you have to select the one that is the best fit for you. It's not all the same.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's not all the same. So in Colorado, we were in Falcon Virtual Academy. They had a campus near our house. So every Tuesday and Wednesday, they would go to campus and hang out with their friends or attend whatever class they want, for socialization stuff. And they had parties. They had like field trips. So they did all that. So it's really not true that kids that are homeschooled are not socialized. We make sure that they really go out there and see things and meet people, and they have a regular circle of friends. But now we're not in K-12. We're doing Time for Learning. So it's time for learning.com. And we pay about $50 for 3 kids. It really doesn't cost that much, and everything is there too. It's all laid out, and it's actually better than the K-12.
Okay.
But there's a price.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. So, what are as far as homeschooling, what are some of the positives that you found? As far as keeping your kids at home and teaching them there, as opposed to sending them to a public school system or trying to get them maybe into like a charter school or something like that.
Well, our lifestyle is really it's unpredictable because of the nature of my job. My husband's job. He's a plumber, so he has to take off odd times of the day or night. And he would also like to be part of it. So we decided to homeschool and just we wanted to see how our kids actually learned. So we observe them and we see what kind of problems they have in learning, and we tried to work around that. And it's just more individual. And it's not like, you don't know anything and you just, it's hard for you to teach because everything is all laid out there. I mean, the way we do it. And you really have to look around in which school or what curriculum you want to do, because a lot of them are Christian-based. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are not secular. And there are some secular homeschooling groups, actually. In Michigan, I think there are a couple of them, but I haven't actually reached out to them yet because I haven't had the need for that yet. But there are homeschooling groups that help each other. Like for example, your kid is not very good in math. You could ask somebody to help tutor your kid in math, and they'll do it. It just works that way.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. I know that I did find a group here in Northwest Arkansas, the Northwest Arkansas Secular Homeschoolers, which is here local for us. It's a closed Facebook group, so you do have to request to be able to join it. But as far as that goes, that there are resources like that out here. Are there any obstacles, maybe some hurdles that you guys have had to cross as far as teaching your kids at home versus sending them out into the public school?
Yeah. Like earlier I was saying on my Facebook page, they were asking us to go to church because they heard homeschooling, and then they checked out our car. There was a bunch of kids in there, and suddenly, please go to our church. I really had a hard time saying no in a nice way. Yeah, it was pretty awkward, and it was actually like a customer of my husband's. We went there after shopping, so he had to give a quote. And she saw us and was like, "Oh, you should go to it." She was really insistent. That's a thing that we run into a lot, because homeschooling, then 5 kids, and then, that sort of thing. Another thing is, what else? Like, people judge us a lot. They say that you don't know what you're doing. The kids are going to turn out to be not socialized because they have nobody else to talk to, which isn't really true. Basically, a lot of that stuff they talk about us sometimes. It's a little weird, actually.
Yeah, I know that's at least I know that's a stereotype. I had met some kids that were Christian homeschooled in the past, and some of them did have problems with socialization, but I think a lot of that it was more because they were being sheltered, I guess. The reason that they were doing the homeschooling, or that their parents were, was because they were trying to shelter the kids from the big bad world out there. And so they didn't get to talk to anybody that was not part of their clique. It was a lot more isolated, whereas I think maybe with doing it in more of a secular or atheist background, you're less likely to try to keep your kids shielded from stuff like that. You're more likely to have your kids out and show them the world rather than just kind of trying to keep them sheltered from and hidden from everything.
That's true. We make it a point to actually take our kids places. That's why I have a lot of pictures online all the time, because we take them places. We all want it hands-on. We go to places that they can meet other kids, and they insist, like, "Mommy, can you please ask for her mommy's Facebook so that we can hang out again?" It's like all the time. And they have a lot of friends, so it's not really sheltered because they know the ways around. I tell them.
Okay, yeah, and well, another thing, because I think one thing, even though my kids are in the public school system, one thing that we do have in common is that we're trying to raise our kids to be free thinkers. We want them to learn how to think for themselves early on, so that they don't, so that a lot of stuff like what I think we're seeing today, where people are just just believing anything that comes by, basically, they're not going to be as susceptible to that kind of thing. Well, what's it like up in Michigan as far as trying to be a parent without religion? Because I know here in the Buckle of the Bible Belt, it's a little bit more difficult.
Up here, they're pretty liberal about it. I mean, when they hear that, at first, it's usually the assumption is we're really Christian, and then they look at me and they're like, "You don't look very Christian," because I don't look conservative and stuff. And then they see my kids, are they well-rounded and all that? And I'm saying, yeah, we don't shelter them. Things are doing just fine. But that's usually older people, like older people. But like younger people like us, no, we don't really get a lot of flack for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, also, as far as, I mean, I guess it's something that you don't have quite as much of a problem with since you have in the home. But I know one thing that some of my friends' kids have run into is being like, there was one Jewish girl that one of her school friends told her that she was going to hell because she was Jewish and not a Christian. And so we hear that kind of thing here a lot. And I guess homeschooling is a good way to keep some of that kind of at bay a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah.
And you were talking about some of the resources like the K-12, and then the one that you're paying for. Are there any other resources that you know of about it?
A lot of them I've looked at, and the Time for Learning one is like the best I've seen. It goes all the way to high school. So yeah, it's actually the best I've seen, and I've looked at a lot of stuff, and I will say like 98% of them are Christian-based. It's really hard to do that, like an online thing. It's really convenient, or you go like freelance, just do it yourself. Look for your own curriculum. There are some curriculums online that you don't have to pay for. You just look at it. It lists books and stuff. You just have to search for them, though. It's just hard to find. Because, like I said, a lot of it is religious.
Right.
With a lot of religious reasoning and stuff. And we're trying to avoid that because I tell my kids, that you're free to do whatever you want when you're adults, but I'm telling you right now, there really isn't anything out there. And they totally say, oh, yeah, I'm an atheist. So that's fun.
Yeah, my wife and I have